And so, something happened. He filed a lawsuit against the district and claimed that it was a racial gerrymander. It was just drawn for black people. You know, those people you don't shake hands with, you don't look them in the eye, they can't even walk on the same side of the street, on the sidewalk with you. No, you laugh. This is Georgia, 1992. My warriors who wore medals, who didn't wear medals but only wore scars, did not, many of them didn't have running water in their homes. I'm talking about the kind of poverty that is inexcusable in this country.
92.
1992.
Wow. Okay.
The Ku Klux Klan in the district. And I'm told when I'm campaigning that I have to get out of town before dark. My supporters have their homes shot up by Klan members. I mean, I'm talking, this is real stuff at that time. Well, unbeknownst to me, there was a series of fish fries going on. At least that's what they said in the newspaper. They were having fish fries. And that's how they financed the lawsuit all the way up to the Supreme Court to dismantle this racial gerrymander district. What I later found out was that the Anti-Defamation League had filed an amicus brief siding with the 5 whites who wanted to dismantle the district against the wishes of the 635,000 other people who were satisfied with their representation, because I taught white folk that they didn't have representation either. They got it under me. So, in 1996, this all had come to a head. We had Shaw v. Reno, which was in North Carolina. North Carolina had elected their first black since Reconstruction to the Congress. Blacks, they had elected 2. Shaw v. Reno, the Texas case, the Georgia case. And in the North Carolina case, Shaw v. Reno, the World Zionist Organization, or something like that.
Yes,
That's
World
it.
Zionist Organization.
Filed an amicus brief to dismantle that district. So here we have the ideal that Dr. King talks about of representation. We have the instrument to achieve the ideal, being the Voting Rights Act. And surreptitiously, we have a civil rights organization that sides with racists. You would never think that that would happen. And I never thought that it could happen. But it happened in my own case. And I didn't get an answer from the Anti-Defamation League because in 1996 the case goes up to the Supreme Court twice, and the district is dismantled, and then I have to run in a completely new district, 70% new population. But when I was running in the course of my 1992 campaign, my 1996 campaign, why not a woman, I started off by saying. I go to the women's organization, and I received a little thing, a little piece of paper called the pledge, and I was supposed to sign the pledge. I didn't sign the pledge. It was from APAC, American Israel.
Wow.
So you see, my problems began long before I actually had a problem, before I knew I had a problem. The day I was sworn in was when the lawsuit was filed against the district to dismantle the district. congressional career, I had to defend my existence on Capitol Hill. And trying to raise money, I go to a women's organization and they ask me, did you sign the pledge? In 1991, George Herbert Walker Bush decided to drop bombs on Baghdad. I stayed up all night and I looked at it, and it was beautiful. It was like this, like this. Star works. It was like, what do you call those?
Fireworks.
Fireworks. It looked beautiful, except it was bombs. And it was killing people. So I stayed up all night. And I wrote. I studied international relations. I had a chance to write about the history of U.S. intervention in countries of people who look like me. What kind of look like me? Sometimes y'all don't think y'all look like me, but I bet you think now. So I went to the floor of the Georgia House, and I asked the speaker for a point of personal privilege, which of course was granted because they always are. And when I got to the point of my remarks, when I said George Bush ought to be ashamed of himself, all of my colleagues got up and walked out on me. I wasn't expecting that. I thought they were going to sit and listen to me. Well, they got up and walked out on me. It went everywhere all over the state. I was called all kinds of names, traitor, unpatriotic. They changed the rules of the House. They made us say the Pledge of Allegiance every day, and instead of looking at the flag, they all turned and looked at me to make sure that I was saying every word.
Wow.
So I go to the peace organizations, the peace PACs in Washington, D.C. I'm a candidate for Congress. Why not a woman? Well, I got rejected because I didn't sign the pledge for the women's organization. So I go to the peace organization. Surely I've got credentials. I just spoke up and got embarrassed, statewide. Did you sign the pledge? I didn't sign the pledge. So I don't get peace money. Then I go and I say, okay, well, I'm an environmentalist. I'm a member of the Sierra Club. I'm going to go to the green groups. And I go to the green groups. And in the end, I got 2 endorsements out of Washington, D.C. National Organization for Women and the Sierra Club, which I had to fight dearly to get. But everything else, the litmus test was not my record. It was not my potential. The litmus test was that I signed the pledge. So folk want to ask about how does Washington, D.C. work? If you're not in this game, it ain't working for you. And I suspect that many people in this room have been very financially successful. But there's one omission. The right to representation was not protected. And so, we end up with a situation like we have now. And through redistricting, if you're not in the game on redistricting, there's no sense in getting in the game after redistricting. Because if there's no district, there's no representation. This is, as they would say in Georgia, as my chairman of my reapportionment committee would say, redistricting is as interesting as watching paint dry. But it is the fundamental building block of power in this country under the current rules. And black people, we ain't there.
Right.
The Voting Rights Act has been eviscerated. We do not have the protection that we had in 1965. I wish I had better news for you. I guess the good news on redistricting is that while we're behind the 8 ball in this regard, at least politics in the United States, if you've got money, is a game you can play. Every candidate for office wants 2 things, money and votes. The black community provides votes. But you see, the transaction ends on election day. That's why you don't get nothing after the voting day. We can change that. But it's going to take money. It's going to take organization. It's going to take commitment. But it can be changed. And here's what I liken the politics to today. My son used to play soccer. And he fancied himself such a soccer player that he had me finding a team for him over in Italy, so he could go play soccer over in Italy. Now, you know, mothers will do anything for their children. So, I've learned a little bit, still don't know a lot about soccer, but I at least learned how to chill when the ball went in the goal and embarrass myself. But there's a process that the team has to go through in order to get game ready. And the team relies on the coach to get them game ready. And you practice. Some people don't make the team. Some people don't get to play. But that's all a part of the process of being game ready. Well, just think of politics as a soccer game. 2 sides practicing to get game ready. And then you show up on game day and the other team doesn't show up. So you win by default. Now, if there's an interest in understanding how the Israeli lobby works, I just described it to you. Because we're not on the team. We're not on the field. Our coach is sleeping with the enemy.
That's right.
So we got to be willing to suit up. We got to exercise, get rid of the flab, get fit for the game of power. It's life and death. Don't have no health care? It's life and death. Think it's Obamacare is going to save you? It's a mandate for health insurance. Those are the people who are causing the problem. It's a trick.